Is there a receiver out there that the Chiefs can go get to help? Because Travis Kelce is one thing, but you need wide receivers, and last night they didn't have them.
It was a tough offseason to find wide receiver help, and while there may be some veteran guys that pop up on the trade market over the next couple months, like a Mike Evans in Tampa Bay, or, it's unlikely the Chiefs make a move like that. They talked about trading for DeAndre Hopkins in the offseason before Arizona cut him, but they couldn't get it done. They are sort of capped out with their high-end guys, and they had 7 active wide receivers last night for the game. These young guys, they're going to find something in this group that is productive, and they're going to have to, because I don't think they're financially equipped to go out and add a big money veteran wide receiver. Anything's possible, but I don't think that's their plan at the moment.
And these guys aren't completely without talent. It was a rough night for Kadarius Toney, but we talked about earlier how he was an impactful player in the Super Bowl. The question around him was always to stay healthy. So assuming he stays healthy, he'll find an answer. But that offense was not the Chiefs' offense we're accustomed to. In the second half yesterday, they had 8 third or fourth down plays for a grand total of -1 yard in the second half. That ain't the Chiefs. They're going to lose a lot of games if that's the result.
Well, the worst part is on the money down, right? 0-7 in the second half on third down, being able to keep the chains moving. And it's because of some of those mental lapses. And sometimes that's just about concentration. You're playing for the first time, full speed, live bullets, and you don't know the defense. I think they'll get more comfortable. I think Sky Moore is going to have to be a guy that has to be elevated, because Kadarius Toney can't be trusted right now.
11 different receivers caught passes from Mahomes last night. Sky Moore wasn't one of them.
Yeah.
And this was a guy that played as many snaps as anybody. But, how many of those third down throws are going to Travis Kelce if he's in the game? That's the other problem, right?
I want to make a point.
He's their high-priced receiver.
Correct. But you made this point to me in the meeting this morning, so I'll make it back to you. He's 34 years old, and he got hurt in a walkthrough, essentially, 2 days before the season began.
It's not good.
That's not good. I'm not taking anything away from Travis Kelce. He's the best receiving tight end maybe in history. But are you putting all your eggs in that basket at this point of his career?
They are for now, but the injury is a warning sign, right? You're going to have to find something else. Now, they're trying, right? They traded a third-round pick for Kadarius Toney, who was a first-round pick of the Giants. They drafted Sky Moore in the second round last year. They drafted Rashee Rice in the second round this year. They're using their resources to try and find help at wide receiver, and they believe that they have something. I talked to the members of their coaching staff this week before the game. They said Sky Moore is going to be better this year because he had a whole year in the system already.
Yep.
And Justin Ross, undrafted out of Clemson with all that talent, they feel like he's got something coming once he gets some reps in the system. So their plan is to coach these guys up.
It's really impressive watching what Patrick Mahomes is able to do, but it's also somewhat disappointing. We saw in the Super Bowl they lost to the Bucs that you're going to at least have to have 2 or 3 O-linemen protect him. So there are holes on the O-line. Patrick Mahomes moves around and makes that a non-issue. Guys can get open. He buys you some time. You get open. But you got to catch it when he hits you with the ball. So one thing you got to do, catch it. You can fall down. We don't need no yak. Just catch the ball, guys.
I think it was one of the great football minds in history who once said, my husband can't throw the ball and catch the ball at the same time. And that's what Patrick Mahomes had going. Are the Detroit Lions, as we saw them last night with a huge opening night win, is that a legit Super Bowl team in the NFC?
That game was so much more important to the Lions, for belief, because you can see they were making silly mistakes, fielding punts on the 2-yard line, things like that. But they found a way to win. And when you win these games, they kind of propel you and they say, you know what, we can play at a high level. And just think, they're doing this without Jameson Williamson. When he comes there, you can't sit at the sticks because he's a guy that can take the top off the defense. They create so much more space for Ross St. Brown. What I love is this Detroit team plays with a chip on their shoulder, right? Mm-hmm. You talk about Ross St. Brown having the book with all the guys that were selected in front of him, and he's been arguably the best out of that class. I love what they play with, and they built this team. Has a lot of Chris Spielman type of influence. They built this team nasty. And we all laughed that they took a linebacker at the first round. We laughed that they took a running back when they had DeAndre Swift. And every one of these draft picks showed up and made big plays, whether it was Campbell, whether it was Branch, whether it was Gibbs. And you have to tip your cap to the Lions and how they're building this organization.
Yeah, Dan Campbell can say that I already knew, but they didn't, right? Like, they found that out about them. So they believed that they were this good enough to beat the Chiefs. And then they went and proved it to themselves. And that has so much value going forward, right? The Lions haven't won their division since 1993.
Don't remind me.
When it was the NFC Central.
Wayne Fonts.
The Buccaneers were in it. Like that's a long time ago. So yeah, I think they needed this last night. They need more of it, and it's validation.
Are they a Super Bowl contender in the NFC?
I noticed you asked Bart, and he refused to answer. He dodged it effectively.
Oh, no, absolutely. No more acid reflux for my dad on Thanksgiving. We win it.
Okay, yeah, I think in the NFC they are a contender. Jared Goff is the question. He played great last night, but what was really impressive for me was he played great.
It was okay.
Yeah, he hasn't thrown an interception in how many?
On the Jared Goff scale, that was great.
All right.
And the point is, in the fourth quarter, they were able to put the game away against the defending Super Bowl champs. That's a hard thing to do, and they.
The NFL is back, and so is my man Pat McAfee, whose new show debuted. Well, it's not new, but it's new here on ESPN yesterday, and he's at Bama for the huge showdown tomorrow night, Bama and Texas. Ladies and gentlemen, McAfee is with us. Good morning, sir. And here's my question to you. It's been the question of the day. We watched the Chiefs, the defending Super Bowl champs, fall last night. Was that a bad night, or was it a bad sign for Mahomes and company?
Yeah, I think it's fascinating. Greeny, thank you for having me on. I'm in the quad down here in Bama. It's my first time in Tuscaloosa. I think it's going to get, 140, 150 degrees, but this weekend the college world is embarking on this glorious city. You know, last night was such a magical evening because we had the opportunity to watch the best players on earth play the best sport on earth in the best league on earth for the first time of the 104th season. It was majestic. It was a late night, obviously. I have a new baby with my wife, so we've been going to bed a little bit early. So last night was a late one. But I think whenever you look at the Chiefs last night, without Chris Jones, who was in the stadium, that was weird. That was very weird to me. I don't know if I like the optics of him and the Katz brothers, who I obviously have a lot of respect for, agents sitting front row in a suite while the team that he's supposed to be playing for is playing right in front of him. I think that is just optically and stuff. He had to feel something. Hopefully that'll get a deal to get done for them. So without Chris Jones, without Travis Kelce, obviously Tony has the night that he has when I think everybody was expecting him to be, a lightning rod for that offense, something that we've seen out of an Andy Reid offense for a long time. I think it was just a bad night. I think they were missing some key players. Hopefully Veach will be able to get the Chris Jones deal done. Hopefully Travis Kelce is the outlet. We'll be able to get back in there. Hopefully Brian Branch is healthy for the Lions. But I have lost zero faith in the Kansas City Chiefs, mostly because the guy who's playing quarterback there is just an absolute legend. I mean, Patrick Mahomes was putting the ball where he needed to put the ball. A couple misses, a couple drops, a couple bad decisions here, a couple bad decisions there. The Chiefs lose to a very good brand new Lions team. 16 more games. I still think the Chiefs are A-OK.
Well, listen, I can't disagree with a word about Mahomes. He was spectacular in every way last night. But is this... I guess I would follow it up by saying to you, Bartholomew, with the talent that they have around him and some of the mistakes and some of the things they're counting on, do they need more around even him to be the best in what might be the most loaded conference we've ever seen?
I think they do, but the problem is they don't have the resources to go out and get the necessary help. That's what happens when you have guys making top of the market type of money, right? When everybody's the highest paid in their position, I think Patrick Mahomes will probably get paid after this year, or top Burrow. You don't have the luxury of going out and getting guys that you can count on. That's why you have to graduate a guy like Tyreek Hill, because you know that you have to pay guys at the top end. You have to try and replace that by the draft. And listen, you talk about that game yesterday. He's going to be in the AFC where he's going against dudes that are just as good as he is. None are better, but just as good, and that's going to come down to how good the rest of the guys are.
Uh-oh, McAfee's making a face. What's the face?
Patrick Mahomes is just so good. I honestly, after watching quarterback, my obsession with Patrick Mahomes being the best quarterback in the NFL just grew even more. The dude is just seemingly everything you would want to be the leader of a franchise. And I agree completely with what Bart just said right there. And I had no idea the full name is Bartholomew. That is awesome. If I was you, I'd be going by Bartholomew all that's bingo. I love it. Don't show up in a tank top. It's normally not a good trade, but obviously you got a lot better fresh there. But with Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback, I legitimately believe that they're in every single game. But to your point there, Greeny, the Chris Jones situation could become something where maybe they're able to bring in another weapon, because Bell had an incredible evening. Noah Gray did his thing, but without Travis Kelce on those third downs, red zone, late 2-minute, there was one person that was obviously clearly missing. missing, and that's Travis Kelce. If he's going to be out for a few weeks, what else are they going to do? Injuries are going to come. I agree. I think they need to reload at a couple weapon positions, or some of these younger guys that we don't know yet are going to have to pick it up in a big way. But I assume Andy Reid will be able to get the most out of all of them.
Yeah.
None of us think that they are a bad team or they don't have the potential to win the Super Bowl. The issue is this is the NFL. It's not any of these other leagues. The regular season matters so much, especially now when there's only one bye and home field advantage matters. So dropping a game now hurts them. And this team not being as powerful as we're used to them being, they could drop 2, they could drop 3, they could drop 4, and that changes their probability of winning.
They're one of these teams that knows very well that they can be better at the end of the year than they are at the beginning. They believe in these young receivers. They believe in Kadarius Toney. He missed all the camp. He was hurt. They did not think he'd be fully up to speed last night. They didn't think he'd drop everything they threw his way, but they do believe long term that he can be somebody that helps them an awful lot. He helped them win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, despite everything that went against them last night, they're one play away, and there were probably 10 of them that could have gone their way, and they would have. All of the talk, all of that, he announced it on your show that he was going to come here, and now he is. And you may have noticed that I've been a little bit excited about it over the course of the last few months. But the time for talk finally comes to an end. What is it going to be like Monday night, Jets-Bills, in a monster opener in a tough division?
Yeah, I think Monday night, September 11th, obviously in the shadows of New York City with 2 Goliaths now in the NFL is a beautiful thing, not only for ESPN, but for the football world as a whole. I think what you see here from Aaron Rodgers is very similar, if you go back, to our first year of doing Aaron Rodgers Tuesday. They had just drafted Jordan Love. So there was a lot of chips that were put on the shoulder of Aaron Rodgers, feeling as if he had to prove himself yet again to an organization that he'd already been there for 14 years. I think you're getting a very motivated Aaron. I think we're seeing that in Hard Knocks, how much he's buying in, loving his teammates, and also how much the Jets are empowering him to not only give his thoughts and opinions, but make decisions for the New York Jets. I think this is going to be the best Aaron Rodgers we've seen in a long time, and obviously in the last 3 years, he's won 2 MVPs. I think the weapons around him are the real deal. You add Dalvin Cook to the backfield, he's an absolute dog alongside Breece Hall. With a defense that's loaded with Robert Saleh, I think the Jets are the real deal. I think mostly the reason why I believe that is because Aaron Rodgers mentally is at a place where he's ready to kind of burn the world down. And that is when the greats are at their greatest. And that's what I think has showed up there in New York.
Yeah, Scorched Earth Tour is a term that I've used many times for that kind of thing here. And he said yesterday on McAfee's show, Domonique, McAfee asked him, has it been everything you hoped it would be? And he said, no, it's been more. And I would say the reverse is also true. Has he been everything that the Jet fan hoped he would be? He's been more. So to this point, it could not have gone better. But Monday night, none of the things that have happened before will matter anymore based upon what happens from then going forward.
Yeah, Jets fans like you are not going to be so in love with him if things go poorly. But I think Pat's right. I think things are going to go well. The way that that defense plays, they don't need a whole bunch from Aaron Rodgers. And he's never been in a situation where they're like, hey, don't blow it. Make a play or two here or there. He'll do more than that, but he's going to be in a situation with not very much pressure.
He didn't mean that. Domonique didn't mean that. I need to apologize to the jersey on behalf of Domonique. He didn't mean that. I will love him no matter what. And you know what? Okay. The truth of the matter, here's what I will say. Yeah. I have no idea how well the Jets season is going to go. I am as certain as I can be that if it goes badly, it won't be because of him.
Right, they won't turn on him.
Things could go wrong. Rodgers is not going to be the reason things go wrong.
This isn't scorched earth Rodgers. This is legacy Rodgers, right? He came here to submit his legacy, and that's far more important. That's why he was willing to give the money away so he can go out and create better chances and opportunities for himself to get a second title. He understands that he'll never catch Tom Brady, but if he wins a Super Bowl for the New York Jets, it elevates him up there with Peyton Manning. It puts him probably right there among Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Johnny Unitas. It's going to elevate him up there to top 5, right there by Joe Montana, even though he hasn't had the same amount of Super Bowl titles.
I think that's right. We very rarely see a player whose legacy as in cement as Rodgers is, have a chance to add to it as significantly as he can now.
And I believe it's something that's been on his mind. And Pat probably knows better than any of us because he's closer with him. But Like, I remember talking to people in Green Bay the last couple of years, and they used that word, legacy. Aaron was conscious of legacy and what kind of thing he wanted to leave behind in terms of his impact on NFL history. At the time, they said Packers history. But, yeah, I think that is something that's important for him. But, look, this has been beautiful. You talk about it's been everything the Jets fan has wanted, Jets coaches, Jets players. There were people in that building that were like, what are we getting ourselves into? And they have been blown away by everything that they've seen from him. Beautiful prologue. It's time for chapter 1.
Again, he will be on McAfee every Tuesday,
Hey,
including
Greeny.
this coming week after the game. Pat, final word.
Greeny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a big part of this here, and Maz makes a good point there. Like, you know, whenever they talk about legacy and cementing your legacy, I think the reason why the Jordan Love pick and the decisions that were made by the front office in Green Bay were such a big deal is because Aaron knows that he's judged because he only has one Super Bowl. They make an NFC championship run. Okay, they lose to the Niners. That next draft, instead of adding a piece to the defense that they might need or a weapon at wide receiver that they might need to get over the hump and get to a Super Bowl, instead they trade up to get another quarterback that will replace Aaron Rodgers inevitably. I don't think Jordan Love was necessarily ever the issue. Everybody loved Jordan Love that I have talked to. We are all pulling for Jordan Love. But I think Aaron knows that his legacy and winning another Super Bowl is the biggest conversation piece around him. So now that he goes to the Jets and Woody Johnson's rocking that ice, he's signing Dalvin Cook. They're bringing in Randall Cobb. They're bringing his guys. It's like, I think that is why you're going to get the best Aaron, because this is what he's been yearning for, seemingly, for like the last half decade or so.
Let the record show that's the first time the sentence, Woody Johnson rocking that ice, has ever been spoken.
Is he going to wear that again? If not, I demand that he